All right, so yeah, I got this hobo hat on. This cold, man. This cold front came through. Now it's like I got the heat on. I'm just chilling though, man. I'm watching the game. When it's cold outside, I'm always cold when it's cold outside. That's just me. But yeah. So I wanted to make this video on how it's made, right? So what is it? It it being how the typical feminist is made, right? So this is a topic, and this is just purely my opinion of it. So I'm not trying to say that this is 1,000% right throughout all the world, but this is the logic that I've seen in how a feminist is usually made. Um, okay, because I and the reason I'm making this video because I ended up getting this random argument on Reddit, which I hate Reddit. But I made a comment like months ago, and now somebody's like replying to me, and I'm talking back. Which I really should just stop the conversation because you can like once a guy's like a beta man, like he just can't ever see anything else except trying to please other women. Which and I've talked about that in the previous video. It never works out for him. He always ends up standing on like John Mayer. He always ends up standing with his heart in his hand every time. But yeah, so I want to talk about the types of women who become feminists generally from my experience. This is purely my experiences alone. And if you agree, cool. And if not, I mean, let me know. I mean, I'm willing to be enlightened. And this is not trying to like demonize them or anything or degrade them, but this is just the logic that I find in it. And like I said, if you have some logic, if you happen to watch this, and hopefully my microphone's on this time, if you have some logic in it, like let me know. Tell me if you think I'm right or wrong, or if you see something that I might have missed in it or anything. Look, okay, so starting out, somebody said, and this is true. I want to start off with this. I can't remember who this was who said. So I don't want to take a credit for this, but I agree with what was said. I think it was a comedian. He said, "Yeah, when women do mature, girls mature much earlier than little boys do. But what happens is, um, the second women figure out that that they're desirable to men, the maturation stops." And it doesn't start again until they're not desirable anymore. Then all of a sudden they become, scholars and all this shit like that, like on average, on average, which that makes sense. It generally makes sense to me. Um, with that being said, that also explains why you will be hard pressed to find any girl in her prime years who even know how to spell feminism. All right, because they just don't care. Because you got to think from what I see and how women's brains work is their brains are not made like as long as a woman's winning right now, they don't care about the future. And like, I can go on either like some side stats. Like for instance, I like to play chess. I play chess a lot online with other people, and I actually looked up the numbers on how many professional men versus how many professional women play chess. And it aligned pretty much with what I had already assumed from learning in life. 15% of professional chess players are women, which you can mark that up to the anomaly. Since it's roughly 50-50 in the world of men and women, roughly, you can chalk up 15% to being that anomaly of women. And it fit my expectations exactly because women and I'm not trying to degrade them. It's just the nature of what it is, and I'm just kind of focusing on women in this period. But yeah, because women's brains are not made to or they're not built to think more than 15 minutes ahead of their own future in a lot of cases. Or if they did plan out, their emotions will get in the way and destroy it. They don't. Their brains are not wired to consistently create uh, uh, logical outcomes any more than three steps in front of their own face. And it plays out exactly in this stat with chess. 15% of all professional chess players are women. And I think there was only one woman who was ever ranked in the top 10 in the world in chess, which I'm not surprised. I'm totally not surprised. But well, okay, so back to the original topic. Yeah, so you will be hard pressed to find a legitimately beautiful woman in her prime between 16 and 25 who even knows how to spell feminism, unless her mother was a feminist. That's probably about the only way you'll find it. Or she went on some like LGBT fad and got tied up in those people like that. But I'm talking like a legitimately straight woman who's actively in her prime, walking around, actively in her prime. She's beautiful. She's happy in life. She's relatively sane. Won't know how to spell feminism. Won't care because it's not women's nature to care about anybody as long as they're winning. As long as that woman's winning, she doesn't care. And they usually don't start caring until they lose it. And this goes into the first theory I want to touch on. How they usually become feminists is one, they were either never in their prime. Well, I mean, as far as physically being attractive speaking, they were never physically in their prime, or they were once in their prime and they lost it. And sometimes they just naturally hit a wall physically, or other times they may have got pumped up with three babies and lost all their physical attributes. And now all of a sudden, like I said, stated before with the comedian statement, um, their maturation begins again once they lose their desirability in the world. Um, that's usually how it starts. I could think of a few right off the top of my head that I knew personally who did that when they were 19, didn't hear a peep about feminism. Never heard it. I didn't even know what it was. Never heard it. And then when they got older, started gaining a little bit of weight, start not liking their bodies. Now all of a sudden, here comes this feminism and body positivity. It's just it is what it is. This is how a woman's mind works. As long as they're winning, they don't care. You see, and this is where this is where women really do not just. This is where women. This is why women get laughed at, and just for lack of better words, is because okay, let's say when a man figures out life, he'll actively try to go back to those younger men who don't got it yet and try to tell them what to do. Women don't do that, bro. When they in their prime, they not like okay. You're not gonna find Beyonce walking with Precious, okay? Because they don't do that. They don't care about their own. All they care about is if they're winning and they get to go with other winners. Forget them. It's just their nature. It's what they do. So that's generally the okay. But now the perfect scenario of how a feminist is made is this. Now they had to do what I said before. They lost their desirability in the market, right? Usually starts around 27 once they figure out that there's a newer model female coming out every year and they can't keep up, and then they get more depressed, so they start eating more and not caring about their body even more, so they just get worse and worse and worse to the point that they're just mad all the time. But now now this is the really important part from what I've observed. It takes that in combination of they had just enough independence to work a full-time job, but now they're stuck having to work this dead-end full-time job, you see? And since they've lost their desirability, they can't upgrade anymore. So they're stuck, right? Now they're just mad because they remember what it was like to be 21 and hot. They remember what it was like to have 8 guys and 8 quality men in their inbox trying to take them out to dinner every other Thursday and Friday. They remember what that was like. You see, they remember what it was like to get picked up in BMWs and Mercedes, and all they had to do was just put on a tight dress and heels, and they got their dinner, their meal paid for, got to ride around in a luxury car. You know, they remember what that was like, and then when they hit 30, that's when it sets in on them. Like, I can't get that no more. It's over. Those younger girls are getting it, and not only that. See, she remembers when she was that younger girl and how she looked at women like what she is now, and what she thought of those women. And now she became that woman. You see how much that compounds in their brains to make them just hate the world, hate life, hate the world. But they're just but then it's that with the important complication of working and having to work for their own survival. That's what does it, you see. And I'll go into why I come to that conclusion. You won't okay, personally from my experience, I have yet to find a ghetto woman who works the system who claims to be feminist. Why? I'll tell you why. Because she still has that theoretical man in her life, the man being the government paying her, that consistency of financial resources. You see, that's really what it is. But in a woman's mind, that's what a man is. Okay, it's consistency and resources. That's what a viable man is. So this is why, like, you can go to any ghetto, any hood, any trailer park, and you won't see one feminist there because they're working that system. And working that system means they're they're getting consistent money. Consistent money is the placeholder for actual man in their life. So, and on top of that, they can. I mean, a woman can. Any woman can always get sex. So she's satiated. She's full. She's complete. You see, this is why you won't find welfare women who have 5 kids by 8 different men working the system. None of them, they don't know how to spell feminism. You won't find supermodels who, if they're not married to a rich guy or having sex with rich men, they're at least in a league with higher end males. So they don't care about feminism at all. And this is why, like, and I spoke on this in another video, but the microphone was off. This is why, like, those crackhead street whore hookers, you never hear about them being feminist. Why? Because and it's feeling that same. And in all honesty, the crackhead whores on the street giving sexual favors for $20, they're pretty much in the same league as like the what's the model's name? As like a model, because they're getting the same in theory. They're getting the same core. They're getting that desirable. They're still being found desirable. You see, this is why they don't care about feminism. They don't know how to spell it. They don't want to know how to spell it. They're fulfilled. You see, this is what happened. Now, I'm not saying every woman who's stuck working a full-time job is going to be on that, but the ones who are okay, but feminists are those women. It's got, like they say, like, I'm not saying this is true, but it's like they say, not all races was it no, not all people who voted for Trump are racist, but all people who are racist voted for Trump, kind of thing. I'm not saying that's true or not, but it's the same theory. But yeah, that's my opinion on how a feminist begins. It all comes down to her desirableness. It comes down to her desirableness, pretty much. It comes down to her desirableness and the ability to get, the type of man relative to where she is in life that she deems, a good guy. Good guy meaning, pretty much more resources, not crazy, not a chump, all that stuff. But yeah, that's just my uh overview on it. Because like I said, like, okay, because also, like, see, like, when you go to other countries where 7 out of 10 of the women aren't land whales, you don't hear feminism. You just don't. You don't. If anything, they laugh at it. See, that's another reason why it's so prevalent. Is That's the right word to use in America? Is because 6, 7 out of 10 of them are big. You know, that's why it's such a bigger thing here, because so many of them can agree. It's the same thing, like what, like, I think, like the whole incel movement is. If a guy can't get sex, then, and he gets frustrated enough, he'll find a group who will validate the reasons why he can't get sex. And it's the same thing with feminism. Like once they fall into the same boat, they find other women like them. And okay, like with the argument I got with the guy on Reddit, the group of women who shut down the grid girls. The grid girl, and if you don't know who the grid girls were, it was these. Okay, at professional racing events, like, I mean, like, legit professional, like Formula One, like, those are like were like millionaires. All of those, like, the worst Formula One race car driver is a millionaire with money to burn. Okay, that's just what it is. Um, Grid girls were the women. They were pretty much models who would show up with skin tight leather clothing or skin tight skirts and take pictures. They were models who took pictures with the racers and with the fans. And what did feminists do? What all women who are envious of other women do? They go in there, hate on it, and had it shut down, right? Because it is what it is. They are okay. Like, feminists are the female equivalent of an incel. The only reason they're not technically an incel is because simply a woman, because a woman is a woman, she can just get sex just because she's a woman. Just post a live webcam stream or play a video game on Twitch or put a picture on a dating app, and sure, and her inbox is going to be filled with somebody trying to have sex with her. So, as far as technically the incel thing is, he's an incelibate. He can't involuntary celibate. So technically, it's not the same thing, but that mentality is the same mentality. Like, they're beat down, then they beat themselves down. Now they're mad and they're trying to mess up everybody else's shit. Like that's the core of it. You see, and the reason why feminists are so scornfully mad, some of them, is because I stated earlier, they remember. See, not all of them were old. Like when I was younger, I used to think that ugly women were just always ugly women, and they just appeared like out of thin air. Like it had never dawned on me as a kid that some of them used to be hot. Like it never hit me. So when I finally grew and realized it, I was like, "Dad, that's what happens." Like it don't like they only stay pretty for like 10 or 15 years at max, most of them, and then after that, you don't be wanting me. You won't even remember their name no more. Like I remember when that hit me. But the reason why those feminists are mad, like I said earlier, is because see, they remember what it was like to be that young hot woman, and they remember how they looked at older, less hot women. They remember how they used to like kind of brush them off and ignore them, and they remember all that. So when they finally end up that 40-year-old woman and gain weight and all this, that, and the third, they like it destroys them. It just destroys those women. And now, depending on the quality of woman, they get destroyed a little more, a little less. Like I said, like the welfare women can generally be satiated. Like I said, the government's paying all their shit, and then they can just find some loser to come over and plow from time to time, and they are and that is sufficient enough. I know one. I know of a woman right now. She's same age as me, and I'll be honest with you, like she is legitimately good looking. I'm not gonna lie to you. She is legitimately good looking. And what happened was she lives off her cousins. Her male cousins come by, hands her money, and then she works some job, because I don't think she went to college or anything. But I mean that doesn't mean a lot. But she's worked some regular, don't need a degree to work type. There's no special job. What I'm trying to say, and and probably gets child support checks, and then she just has some little random dude she bangs on the side. See, and she's satiated. You see, that's what fulfills that's what fulfills their nature, is to have a man or somebody in place of a man fuel them financially, and then have some random guy come over and plow from time to time. That's all it takes. And I'm not joking. Like, and we talked a few times in the past. But I wouldn't. I just can't mess with her, man, because she got a kid, and her kid. She's one of them girls who had a kid when she was like 14 or something. So like the kid, pretty much, when they stand next to each other, you can't tell which one's the kid, which one's the adult type of thing. It was just real. It was just too awkward for me, man. I just can't. It was just too awkward. And I've seen movies where like dudes get involved with women like that, and they end up having sex with the daughter, and it's just that no, that's just too much for me. But she is legitimately a good looking girl, man. But yeah, but the fuel my point is if a woman is lacking a consistent man, that's a big step. But it's not always the only step. A lot of times the only step is to becoming a feminist. From my observation, is just losing what she used to have physically. That can be enough to send her down that rabbit hole of becoming that sometimes, but other times it can be, because these other times it can be, usually it's in that same realm from what I've seen. So like, yeah, so if you guys may know of another way, let me know. Hopefully the microphone's gonna be, I think it's on, it should be on. Yeah, let me know, or let me know if I'm wrong. Like, please tell me if I'm wrong. Like, I'm definitely open to insight, and it's not for more views or whatever. I don't even know if they pay you for comments or anything like that. This is not for payment. This is strictly, just to share information on this topic, especially with American men, because American men are pretty much, if you notice, when American men begin to think on their own, that's when they become be demonized. When men are in America, if a man is begin to think for himself and think independently, and it's not benefiting a woman, you're going to start becoming demonized. That's just what happens in North America. That's just the reality of it. But yeah, let me know. I mean, if anybody does watch this, let me know, man. I'm genuinely interested.